Calling him a damn fool, Finmar drags Nish somewhere they could be sheltered from the snow. She angrily asks him if he's aware of the gravity of what he's done. The failure of one of the fields at Minion caused the destruction of 50 clankers by the Lyrinx. She tells him that Tian was the big hope for all of them. Not only had she solved 2 of the big issues plaguing them, given enough time, the hope was that she'd be able to solve the latest issue with the damaged fields, thus saving them from imminent defeat. The Lyrinx were assembling in greater numbers and were all around. She tells Nish that he's doomed them all just to satisfy his urges. When he tries to pretend that he has no idea what she needs, Finmar's knee quickly rises up, striking him in his groin. Nish crumples to the floor and Finmar says,
"Are you stupid as well as a liar? I had not thought it. I know everything. Surely you realize that. I know how you boasted about your family connections as you crudely tried to seduce Tian and then threatened her. I know about how Irises seduced you, and every jerk and thrust of your little fornications. I suspect Irises of being behind the sabotages and the poisoning of Tian. I suspect you connived at the death of the apotheke, even if you did not hold the flask to his lips. If that turns out to be true, nothing can save either of you."
Mish protests, telling Finmar that he had nothing to do with the apotheke's death. He'd never betray his father like that. She tells him that his father will determine that for himself. After all, the Per-Quisitor has a gift of immediately determining the truth. Finmar also tells him that his father had high hopes for him, to which Nish asks why his father would send him to this godforsaken place if he did. It was a test, Finmar says, and an easy one at that, which he comprehensively failed. He asks her what he can do to make amends, and she tells him that his best hope is to find Tian and bring her back. With his carrot and 2 peas bruised, Nish made his way back into the manufactory, determined to find a way to redeem himself. He walks into Tian's room, but of course, it had been cleared of her belongings. He then made his way to the ratifier's office, where the manufactory's account books were kept. He checked the ledger and soon discovered that Tian's belongings were taken by her old friend Joe. Joe wasn't at home when Nish arrived there, and after searching, he found nothing of note. However, he noticed footprints outside that he was sure belonged to Tian. Following her tracks led him to the mine, where he met the day guard named Lex. Nish attempted to introduce himself, but Lex cut him off. He and everyone else at the manufactory know who Nish is and what he's done, especially after the public flogging he received. Lex looks at Nish with pure disdain, telling the young man that if it were up to him, he would have received 100 lashes. The penny drops, and Nish realizes how well-liked Tian really was. He asks Lex if he has seen Tian. Lex angrily points towards Tixie, and when Nish tells him that Tian had escaped from the breeding factory, a big grin appears on the guard's face. Lex then tells Nish that he hasn't seen Tian, and he wouldn't tell him, even if he had. To which Nish informs him that the order to find her has come directly from Queritst Finmar. Upon more questioning, the guard informs Nish that, as usual, there has been a lot of movement up and down the mine today. Just then, the bucket lift reaches the top, and one of the miners named Finn walks out. The guard tells him that Nish is in search of Tian by the orders of the Queritst. Finn spits at Nish's feet, just missing his boots, and tells them he hasn't seen Tian or Joe, but there is always a chance that both went down the mine unnoticed. They decide to head down to the lower levels in search of the 2. Nish has suffered from claustrophobia since he was a child, and now he finds himself in this dark and dangerous-looking mine. It's like he's being dragged to the depths of hell, but he has no choice. The 3 men walk into the bucket lift. Nish looks very unsteady on his feet, and both Lex and Finn notice this. With a mischievous look on their faces, Finn smashes his axe into the lever in the lift, causing it to drop rapidly down the mine shaft. Nish feels like his belly has risen to his throat, and as he braces himself for the lift to smash into the ground, Finn turns the lever, causing the lift to come to a slow and steady halt at the 5th level. It was a trick usually played on novices. Nish's legs wobbled as he looked at both men with pure hatred. They didn't care. Miners are a rebellious bunch. They searched for many hours through the entire night and found nothing, so decided to make their way back to the top of the mine. Once they reached the top, Nish walked out in a basket and fell to his knees. Due to his claustrophobia, he had withstood all he could and had reached his limit. He notices multiple pairs of boots walking towards him and looks up to see Overseer he had, Queritst, Finma, and a few others he recognized. The group parted, and dread spread across his face as his father stepped forward. Per-Quisitor Yao Nish was here. He asks Nish to get up and give his reports. Nish tells his father that nothing was found, not even her friend Joe. With a look of pure anger, Jalmish says,
I'm going to be Screwtator one day, and not even your stupidity will stand in my way. It's the front line for you, son.
Later on, both Irisis and Nish were interrogated for hours by both Jalnish and Finma. Ever defiant, Irisis answered all their questions. Well, she gave the answers she was certain they could prove, while seemingly lying to their face about other things, almost daring them to do their worst. Nish overhears his father whisper to Finma that he's almost tempted to put Irisis in irons, a form of torture so hideous that Nish would defend Irisis against if it came to it. Finma tells Jalnish that it wouldn't be wise, as Irisis' mother is a good friend of the Screwtator. Jalnish immediately agrees. Once the interrogation was complete, both Irisis and Nish were sent to the mine to help with the search. After 2 days of searching with no results, the search was called off, and Nish found himself in an office with his father. Jalmish tells his son that he has harmed his name in the eyes of the Screwtators. Nish knows where this is going, so tries his trump card. He asks his father what his mother would say if he were to send him to the front lines. Jalmish's wife, Rani, is one of the very few people the Per-Quisitor has no interest in upsetting. He paces restlessly and then eventually tells Nish that his mother will understand. Nish has ruined their family name, and if he isn't punished, they will all be seen as fools, just like him. Nish is to be sent to the front lines. If he's lucky and not killed, he'll have the opportunity to rehabilitate himself. Fortunately for Nish, the weather was so bad that it made it impossible to set sail immediately. While lying down in his bed the following morning, he hears a loud thud, and with it, the entire manufactory shook. Surely it wasn't an earth tremor, as such things were very uncommon here. Again, there was another loud thud, followed by many more. He springs out of his bed as he realizes that the manufactory is being attacked. He rushes through the dormitory of the manufactory, banging on doors and shouting for everyone to wake up as they were under attack. The place is in chaos with screams and people rushing to get dressed. Upon opening his father's door, Jalnish stands there naked, and Nish notices a naked female worker in his bed. His father slams the door in Nish's face. The young man is shocked and disgusted by what he saw and will make a note of it. It may become useful in the future. He's about to knock on Iris's door when she flings it open, standing there half naked and with a long knife in hand. Nish tells her they are under attack. They both rush out towards the gate, along with everyone else, where they see that the massive gates to one of the entrances of the manufactory has been completely smashed in by a large boulder. The Lyrinx are here. Iris's weapon is jammed. Nish grabs it from her and with his artificer skills is able to quickly repair it and hand it back to her. She takes aim at a larynx and strikes true. Irisis looks down in horror as Nish falls to the ground, gurgling. He's been struck in the throat with a projectile thrown by one of the larynx. He passes out. As he drifts in and out of consciousness, Nish looks up at a group of people carrying him towards the infirmary. His father with a look of absolute fear on his face, and even Irisis with a look of what seems like worry. Every second counts, and precision is required for this, which makes the people around afraid to attempt removing the dart. The chubby healer nervously leans over Nish to inspect the wound and then steps back. Jalnish shouts at him to hurry up, pull the dart out and fix his son up before Nish bleeds to death. But the healer, who's a drunk, refuses to as the dart is too close to an artery, and with his shaky hands he'll most likely kill Nish while attempting it. There were only two other healers who could have helped here. One was too old, and the other was the apothec, who was killed. Irisis pushes forward, looking at all the seemingly useless people here with contempt. She decides to take charge and remove the dart herself. Jalnish tries to protest. After all, she's an artisan, not a healer. But she tells him that they've got nothing to lose, as they could either watch Nish die or let her try to save his life. Now, although Tian was the best artisan in the manufactory, Irisis made by far the most beautiful hedrons, something that requires delicacy and precision. She gets to work, slowly teasing the dart through his neck and out the back. The entire room was silent. She asked them to hold his neck up, and as she teases the dart out, Nish struggles and screams out in pain. Irisis shouts at them to hold him tight, before she finally pushes the dart out and sets it on the table. Nish passes out, but he's alive. Nish wakes to see Irisis sitting beside him, and his neck hurts terribly. He tells her that she saved his life, to which she curtly replies that she didn't do it for his sake. He asks her why she did it, and she replies that she did it to gain his father's favor. That hurts. And with as much sarcasm as he could muster, he tells her that she better hurry and go get her reward. She shrugs it off, telling him that she brought some broth for him. After all, she wouldn't want him to die before she got her reward. She gently feeds him the soup, and to Nish's surprise, he found it to be very delicious. Far better than anything usually made in the manufactory. Of course it is, she says. After all, she specially made it herself. Once she was done feeding him, she left the room without a single word to him. Sometime later, Irisis was working at her desk when Jalnish suddenly bursts in. He paces up and down, giving her sideways glances, seemingly unsure about how to proceed. She's frightened about what he may decide to do to her, but hides it well and demands to know her fate. She asks him if he and Queritst Finmar still believe that she's a spy, to which he tells her that it's in doubt. After all, it's difficult to label her a traitor when she shot and killed one of the larynx. He tells her that one of the larynx fought its way into Overseer Gihad's office, taking away Tian's broken pliants, which they believe may have held evidence about the identity of the traitor. He tells her that she is cleared of the charge of being a traitor. However, she is guilty of many other serious crimes. And Finmar has told him
that you're vain, proud, and have an overly high opinion of yourself. But it's a front you've been putting on all your life to protect yourself from an abusive mother, an incompetent father, and a family desperately trying to relive its past glory through you. That you're quite lacking in morals and would do anything to advance yourself and bring your rivals down. That you're bold, even foolhardy, yet dogged in pursuit of your ultimate goal. That you have a desperate craving for recognition.
Irisis could not argue with this assessment of her by Finmar, and simply tells him that she's a product of her circumstances, and she is what she is. Jalnish agrees. That's why he's here, he says, and he has a job for her. One that if she performs well at, could redeem her. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hopefully you're enjoying the story so far. If so, please like, subscribe, and leave any comments or suggestions you have below. And I'll see you all on the next one.